What's up, guys? So I want to talk about that Selena video. That you said I saw that I put out there, or I took it from TikTok that she had out there. And then I just want to. So if you guys know the situation with the six screens where you had Reese and all these other people arguing back and forth, and then calling each other names and stuff, and then people get all mad and stuff because the host Rick said that there were things about what she said that he just wanted clarification on, and then people were fighting. So I'm gonna give you my take on this, right? And you have your take. Everyone has their own take. It's totally fine, right? We all have our own ideas. When I watched the videos and I sent a message to her, she said, that's fine, go ahead and do it. Because I put it out there, and then I got sick with the flu, okay? Really bad, and then I got an upper respiratory infection. I've been down for like 2 weeks. So you guys know, if you heard my videos, my voice sounds kind of weird and stuff for like the last couple weeks because I've been really, really sick. And so I got so sick that I was in bed and couldn't even go to work for about a week. And then I see all this stuff going on. I missed out on it, and I kind of talked to Jimmy. Jimmy did his video where he talked about his thoughts on it, and he said, "Have you watched it all the way through?" And I'm like halfway through. It's like a 4-hour video. He's like, "Well, that's my take. Why don't you watch it and then give your take?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's a good idea." That's one of the things I like about Jimmy and stuff. And people like Jimmy is they're like, "Yeah, I have my opinion, but maybe you get a different take," that kind of thing. When I was working with the police with my case in Arizona, one of the things that took place is I had lots of evidence, right? I had recordings, I had my statement, like I thought it was going to be like, we got you kind of thing, but it wasn't. It was 2 years of investigating that my detective or detectives were working my case, and when it got to it, they couldn't do anything because of the statute of limitations. So, but they were willing to work with the law firm which I was associating with that was saying that they're going to represent me. When it came down to it, the firm said that they can't do anything, they can't take the case at this time because of the statute of limitations. And they weren't able to charge the organization with anything. So, for a lot of people, it's kind of a bust. And I can understand that. But for me, it wasn't. Because I got to tell them, and they told me, they said, "Hey, this is how it is. I'm sorry, we can't charge them with anything." But they said, we have in the system, and it might be able to help us with another case. And I said, if you ever need me to testify, you just call my number, you know what you need to do, and I'm there. Right? Well, one of the things that I found out that they told me is that Watchtower, the organization, right, is associated with the United States government. That they had some kind of connection. Now, when I tell you this, I wasn't explained what the connection was. But the detective's superior told him, if you're going for these guys, we got to be quiet about it, we got to be careful about it because they have red tape protecting them. And it's at a governmental level. So, this was a win for me because I learned something that my grandfather told me, who works for the U.S. Pentagon. So he claimed this information, right? I don't have any way of validating it, right? He said this information, and he said he worked, and that when he was working with the United States government, they were investigating the Watchtower because of being associated with the occult and its connections to Masonic Lodge. So what he had told me was validated by law enforcement, that yes, there's some kind of governmental connection and they're protected, right? So that's what I learned. And when I started researching more, and that's honestly what got me into researching the New World Order. Okay, I didn't really know any of that shit or even really pay much attention to it until the situation with the police, and I found out about the organization, how the organization operates, and its connection to the government itself, and that it has political connections. And they stated to me about the occult practices and things of that nature. So I was aware of this for a long time. I've seen the cult practices firsthand with the situation with the FBI. So as I told you guys in the past, I had an acquaintance that illegally went into their system, got images of a certain governing body member doing a certain ritual, and that was leaked onto the web. Uh, he was arrested. I was there on campus when he got arrested. I didn't speak to him after that. Uh, I, I know for a fact that what he did was true, because if it wasn't, then the FBI wouldn't have came to the school and arrested him. So a lot of people try to tell me, well, it was a conspiracy or some made up thing. I'm like, if he made up this video and it was some kind of joke, right? The FBI wouldn't be shutting it down, coming to the school and arresting his ass on campus. So, ixnay on that. And then the situation about the organization and abuse. I was abused as a kid. Every basically every kid and everybody I've ever known to be a member of the Jehovah's Witnesses or Jehovah's Witnesses. I hate calling it Jehovah's Witnesses. It's such bad English, but whatever. So any Jehovah Witness, which means one, by the way, it was a member of the organization of Jehovah Witnesses, has told me that they know themselves or somebody in their family, or they know somebody who's been abused. I have not to this day known somebody who doesn't know somebody. Like, what are the freaking odds of that, right? So back to the Selena thing. So when she was talking about how things were not progressing the way she wanted, what happened in my scenario is after everything was done and they said, okay, the case is going to be on the back file right now, and we weren't able to do anything with it. I shut down all my accounts and my witness stuff, and they told me not to say anything or do anything, and I did that for 2 years. When they got done, they said, will you bring that stuff back up, and we want you to get as many people and talk about it as much as possible, to get as many people as you can to come forward. And I said, sure, absolutely, no problem. So that's the kind of thing that I was warning. Now, her scenario, I don't think that's what happened. I personally think, based on the testimony that I had seen from her, that it makes sense to me that she's been working the police, she's done all this, A, B, C, and D, and things just are not moving the way that she wanted, or they said they can't do what they were saying or wanting to be done. And so the next choice is the public has to take care of it. If law enforcement, based on the rules that we have for them, cannot take care of the situation, then it becomes up to us to let the people know what's going on. Because if law enforcement can't protect the children, well, then it's up to me and you to go out there and let people know what's happening to these children. Because if police won't advocate for them, then we need to do it. That's just how it is. It's not the best scenario, but it is the scenario. And I'm going to have to pause for a second, guys. Okay, sorry about that. So I'm filling my pond up, and it's going to overflow, and I didn't want that to happen. So, but anyways, so I personally, and this is my opinion, I believe Selena. I think that what she's saying, the way she's doing things, it makes sense to me. I think, honestly, when people talk about how her house is burnt down and they don't, I have dealt with that shit myself, where they're stalking me, having me followed, and I'm a nobody, man. I'm a nobody. It's not like I have some family members that are like, know the governing body. Well, I guess that's not really true. So I do have family members that are high up there, but I'm saying me personally, I never associate with the governing body. I never did anything with them. They shouldn't know who I am, is what I'm trying to say, right? But they still mess with me, and they have messed with me for a long time. So I'm going to tell you guys something that I have mentioned, but it's just been on my mind and I haven't talked about it, and I'm going to tell you guys right now. There is a term that people talk about where women try to seduce you, right? To get you into a position where, like, you cheat on your wife and shit like that. And it's honeypot, I think is what it's called. When I was a young man, the organization tried to honeypot me on 2 occasions, right? One of them was before I had children and I was married, and one of them was when I was married. And, well, actually, I take it back, it's not really correct. It's actually 3 attempts, but the first attempt was an Asian girl who would come into the restaurant I worked at, and they looked pretty normal, and then they started trying to get me into going to some like sex ritual. It was like for Satanists. And after talking to them, they, these used to be regular customers come in there, and their daughter's always trying to get, and she was trying to get me to have sex with her, and I was like, no, there's no fucking way that's happening. And they're like, when they're doing their thing, and I was like, oh, and they're like, oh, you can have blonde hair, blue eyed girls, whatever girls you like, we'll make it for you. You come do this stuff with us. We just want you to, to give us your seed or whatever stupid shit they're saying to me. And I was just like, this bitch is crazy. Like, what the fuck? No, I don't want nothing to do with that shit. That was just that. That was that. I said, no, I'm not doing any of that shit. The second girl, came to me, wasn't as aggressive, and she talked to me, and we became friends, and we kind of dated for a while, and it was nothing really serious. And then, I treated her like with the utmost respect that I could. Like I really liked this girl. She was very, nice. She was like a gothic looking chick, and she had went to my school, but we didn't know each other. And what ended up happening is she's in my living, or not my living room, she's in my kitchen, and she's like, I gotta tell you something. And I was like, okay. And then she was very upset. She started crying and telling me that she was fake. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, what's going on? I said, what's the problem? She told me that her family forced her to try to get me to impregnate her. And she told me that her family are actually Satanists, and that they were told to do this by the organization. Now, I was weirded out by this, but I didn't really. At this point in time, when this incident happened, what I told you about my friend being arrested and about the whole internet thing, that had not happened yet, and I did not know this stuff. And so when she told me this, I was just like, what the hell? And then, I believed her, because I don't know why she would tell me this crazy shit. And so I told her, I said, hey, I grew up in a cult too. I said, I like you. I'm not going to hold this against you. I said, I really do like you. And she told me that she felt like I deserved somebody better, and that she just couldn't do it because she just felt so wrong about it, and that I deserve something better than someone who is fake. And we stayed friends, and I never did anything with this girl. Like, we weren't sleeping together or anything like that. It was all just, hold hands and maybe kissing, and that was it. That's as far as things went. And yeah, so I was pretty like weirded out by that shit. And it kind of I don't know, like it made me like not really care to date people after that. And then the third time this happened, I knew exactly what the fuck was going on. My daughter was little. She was only like 2, and we were at a park, and one of these witnesses came up to me and was talking to me, and I knew something was weird just because she was very like overly friendly, wanting to talk to me, and like, my daughter's playing with her kid on the playground. I really don't want to talk to this lady. The kids are just playing. I'm just doing my thing. I'm on my phone, whatever. And she was like very like overly friendly, and then she was like, blah blah blah, and she's like, hey, do you guys want to do a play date? And I was like, a play date? I was like, well, and she's like, well, the kids can play, and then maybe adults can have a play date too. And then she kind of like put her hand on me, and I was like, whoa. I said, I'm married. Well, actually, I don't even know if we were married, but I'm like, I have a girlfriend, and like, no, that's not happening. And I just picked my daughter up and I left, and I didn't go back to that park for a long time, because like I was like, I knew something wasn't right about that shit. I had the incident with the Satanist chick, the Asian chick, trying to get me to go do some weird, crazy ritual shit, and then I had the girl that I liked, telling me that that her cult sent her to try to get me to impregnate her. Now, all this crazy shit didn't make a whole lot of sense until much later, when I found out that because I'm related to John Locke's Booth, right? the guy who shot Abraham Lincoln. There's something about that bloodline that's important to Watchtower and the people associated with Watchtower. I don't exactly understand it 100%, but they view that there's some kind of importance in that bloodline. And since I've stepped away from the cult and that bloodline isn't in the organization anymore, I'm the only one with children. Or I'm the only one that they could grab, or they're trying to grab and bring back. So that's the crazy shit that the organization is willing to do, and that's what I personally have dealt with. So when Selena is talking about them burning her house down, threatening her, and doing other shit, I do not put it past these people to do that kind of shit. Because I mean, you think about the amount of time and effort that they're put into me, who is just an average nobody, into trying to get them back, trying to get me to impregnate not one, not two, but three different people. Like, that's insane. That's absolutely insane. These people, in my opinion, are crazy. And people who are crazy and they have crazy belief systems are going to do crazy things. I do not push anything past the organization. I really don't. I mean, you gotta understand, they're part of the New World Order, the New World Society. The same people that are saying that they want to stop all fossil fuels so that we can wipe out most of the population because the planet's gonna die if we have more than 500 million people on the planet. I mean, think about how many people are on this planet, and they want it to go down to 500 million. How large of a genocide do you need? I don't put anything past these people. I'll tell you things that I believe that they've done. I think that the war that's going on right now, I think was to affect the food supply so that they could rationalize a loss of food around the world. Because a lot of you guys don't know is that Russia and Ukraine supply most of the fertilizer for the earth, for people, for the US, right? So we're dependent on them. So we're going to have food shortages because of this. There's no way it's not going to happen. It's coming. And then they're stopping farmers here in the US from being able to use water to make crops here for us, right? Now think about this. Does this make any sense? So when you think about shit like this, and I think about the personal attacks that the organization has done on me, not to mention that they rigged a car to stop on the freeway with my daughter on it to try to teach me a lesson, to shut me up. They tried to kill my own daughter. Now these people are psycho fucks. And I can understand why we need to be careful when you hear stories and stuff, because you never know what the organization is going to do and who's a plant, who's fake. Because there's a famous YouTuber, right, who, when I first got involved with you guys, I was told some shit about him with prostitutes and that he's not to be trusted and he was a puppet for the organization. Now, I just thought the UX witnesses were fucking crazy, and I was like, I don't know about that. Like, it was just... I was like, I don't know. I just thought the witnesses, the bickering, the rumors, I just really didn't take it too serious. Then when I found out it was true, I was like, oh shit. I said, I should have been paying attention. I should have been listening. And it was a big wake up for me. I was like, okay. I said, I got to be careful with who I'm talking to. And so, just so you guys know, whenever I talk to an ex-Jehovah's Witness, I always tell them, do not invite people like me who are YouTubers or people to your home. Never meet an ex-Jehovah's Witness ever alone. Never, 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 never do that. Only associate with ex-Jehovah's Witnesses when you're in a public setting where you know you're safe. Because you never know if these people are really ex-members or if they're just pretending. And that's how I treat all of you guys. I respect the people doing what they're doing, but I always have a little bit in my mind that says, if something is not right and something points to me that you are hiding something and that you are possibly a mole or a spy, it's always in the back of my mind with everyone I talk to, even the people I like. And I always tell people that's how it is. And I've been told by the big names, and I won't say their names, the same thing. They're like, always be on guard. You gotta be careful. You never know who's really out there, who's true, and who's faking, and who's just trying to get information for the organization. Because they're psychos, right? So I just kind of want to throw that out there, guys. That's my deal, right? I hope you guys get your own opinion. figure out what's going on, make a comment about it. Peace out.